when you see the mature rating come up, do you also boo when there's no sexual content advisory?
Actually, yeah, I do.
At the beginning of every FX episode.
Yeah, no, I literally do. Sometimes I go, ugh, boo.
Yeah, I'm like, someone take their top off. No. Yeah, I do that. I do that with all my shows. If there's like if there's a violence rating, I'm always like, let's go. It's on. It's on.
I mean, it's 10 p.m. What other ratings should there be if not a mature one?
Yeah.
We say fuck at this hour.
At this hour of the night, we say, I actually didn't know that for a long time. Growing up, I didn't realize that shows that were on after 10 didn't get monetized the same way that other shows do at other times of the day. So I remember I must have been watching an episode of something kind of raunchy after hours when I was in like high school, and somebody dropped the F-bomb, and I was like, whoa, what? Wait a minute now. Like, is this HBO? Yeah. I was so shocked, but it was more or less just that. I ended up in bed most times in high school once the sleepy time tea set in. So
once the sleepy time tea.
Oh my God. Wow. This episode,
oh my God, it was great.
But Jesus,
it was great. I'm not gonna lie. This is the most amped I've ever felt about What We Do in the Shadows episode, like all season since maybe Pride Parade.
Yeah. Oh my God. Remember last week when we were like, no. Like maybe there'll be another good one. This was the good one.
Was it.
This was the good one.
From start to finish, such a good episode.
This one is going to be so hard to forget. I would never even try. I'd never even try. But I think, I mean, even though it's a very spoilery episode, it's the type of episode that I recommend to somebody who'd never seen the show. Oh my God. Tell me your immediate reactions, Caitlin.
What a great, like, opening for Laszlo alone.
Ooh!
We talk about Matt Berry so much on this podcast because of course we do, but I'm sorry, every word that came out of his mouth, I'm like, let's go. I'm already in it. Like, just starting up the return of Camera. Was great.
Camera. Yeah.
The what? Follow me.
What? Yes. Oh.
Wonderful.
My gosh. Yeah, I agree. What a great cold opening. Yeah. I felt like we just got right into it. Like, we sunk our teeth in, literally, from the very beginning of the episode, and it just felt like so much was going on all at once.
Yes.
The little frogs with Guillermo's hair. Matt kicking the railing and knocking it down. Oh my gosh, I loved it. Oh, he came in so hot. Like, his energy right at the top of the episode, it was such a kick in the gut.
It was.
That you just immediately felt engaged.
Yeah. When he goes, ipso facto, fuckhead, and kicks the barrier. I'm like, let's go. Because we talk about so much how Laszlo is like, nope, I'm gonna figure out what's going on with everybody. Like, he's a fixer. He needs to know what's going on. And he's just like, all right, Guillermo, we're gonna learn how to fly because I have these flying frogs that he is now emotionally attached to, it seems.
Yeah. He's the greatest because he's the schemiest of the bunch. Like, everybody is doing their own little, obviously always doing their own little schemes. But I feel like Laszlo, his intention is always that it is a scheme. Like, he's not gonna bullshit you about that. He's always scheming. Like,
he's always ready.
Yeah, where Nandor is like, oh, I'm just gonna do this today, I think. And so is Nadja, where they kind of have their own directions they're going in and life plans, and it's always kind of tied back to the meaning of their lives. Laszlo's more interested in everyone else and their dynamics. And finding the scheme, finding the plan, finding the project that he can accomplish for everyone around him. Big eldest daughter energy.
Real, though. Big eldest daughter energy coming from Laszlo Craven's worth. I really felt like you really saw that in the episode because he wasn't in it all that much. I mean, it was very balanced, but it was like he was the one that held down the fort while everybody else was doing their own thing, and he was the safe space to come home to that everybody needed help from. Like, he was there for Colin and Nandor when they needed help with Colin because he was dying, and then he was there when Nadja came home too to like talk through Guillermo being a vampire. It's just like, he's so mother.
Well, do you think I was just thinking this as you were talking, like, not that I wasn't listening to you, but like you were making me think.
Yeah,
As you were talking,
I understand.
I was thinking about my own thing, having my own internal dialogue. But you just made me think, like, we talk a lot about Guillermo kind of being the person that keeps things right in the house. But I'm starting to wonder, do you think that maybe it's really Laszlo that kind of is the glue that holds everything together? Like, he's what grounds everything in the house. Like, without him?
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
He's the one that kind of connects them all to each other.
Yes.
Whether they know it or not. And I feel like whether we realize it or not until we start actually reflecting on it. Like, I think he's the glue. He's the glue.
He's the glue. His character has just, I mean, so much heart. I think the most of any other person in the cast. You know, like, he just brings such a caring and inquisitive energy to everything. He's like a student of life. He's one of those people that is actually a student of life. Not self-proclaimed, though. Wouldn't say that to you. Not douchey. Right. But, like, definitely is constantly learning and taking new things in and very driven. And it's just so interesting to watch. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. So for him to come out hot in the very first part of the episode and for him to really display his acting chops, there's this just immediate rhythm that we're hitting, and that first 5 to 10 minutes of the episode, it's moving very quickly, but it's like we're keeping up as an audience because we're getting all the information we need. We're super engaged because of, I think, the cadence of the scene, the inflection that Matt is using when he's speaking with Guillermo, and then like Harvey playing so well off of that inflection. It's so stunning to watch. I remember I was going to text you. I didn't say it because I wanted to save it for us talking about this. But I was going to text you and say, this is the episode for your consideration. Really, it is. I agree. This is the Emmy making episode to me because it has everything.
Yeah, because I feel like it shows story-wise how it's one of those really well-connected things where they all start in one thing in the beginning. The problems are established. They all go separate ways, but it all comes back in the beginning. It all comes back. Like, and it's all still connected to each other. And I feel like it's a really good character episode because we got different pairings that we don't always see. Like, we had Nadja and Guillermo together for the episode, and we had Nando and Colin. When's the last time you saw that? Because I can't think of one.
Oh, it's so good. It's such a great pairing.
Yeah, and so we had those, and then we had great cameo. We had great comedy.
Let's not talk about that yet. I
know. We'll move past it.
I'm gonna burst.
But then, like, also just I feel like with the camera works too, because like the direction of everything, because it was moving so fast, but like it's not like you're like you said, you're not trying to keep up with everything. It's just like you're moving on to the next thing, and it's going so smoothly. You're just getting more and more information, and it's hilarious and it's fun and it's fast paced to keep you engaged. There was not a single dull moment in this episode.
There was no lull. That's exactly right. Like, there'll be times in some of these 20-minute features where I will find myself taking out my phone and being like, I gotta check an email or something.
Yeah.
Just because I have the attention span of a rat. So, but that didn't happen to me at all this episode. I was 100%, I was all in right from the get-go. Before we move on, I want to just also praise the special effects in the very beginning because the frogs were great. Sometimes, as much as I love digital creators, I can be really on the fence about CGI in like these 20-minute episode features because it can just go so wrong. Like, if you don't have the budget, you have to be like really subtle about it. I feel like first of all, that's just my personal opinion. Like, I am not qualified to talk about this at all. But like, I feel like as an audience member, I respond better to like visual effects, like CGI animals, things like that, when it's like very quick, very small, not taking up much of the episode. And I really love the frogs. That's my point.
Frogs are my friends.
I thought they were so interesting and cute, and like it was done in a way where it didn't take me out of the episode where some CGI does.
Yeah, it added to the charm of this show, which is like, look at these fun little things that we can have, because we are also a sci-fi fantasy show about vampires and all of their powers and stuff, and I loved them. I expect to see fan art of the little frogs with the little Guillermo hair on top of them. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In terms of iconic images, yes, I agree. That's coming. There's another moment later in the show. There's a couple of these that I'm noticing this season where there's like this great imagery that I know is going to become fan art the moment I see it. I'm like, that's iconic. That's something people are going to remember. In Pride Parade, there was the very last couple of scenes of the episode where Guillermo is sitting on the trailer holding the gay guy sign with the little hat and a little rainbow scarf. Like, I've already seen that as fan art, and I'm pretty sure I've loved and reblogged and commented on every single piece. And then later on in this episode, there is a scene with the guide who is back again where she's dressed as a nurse, and I already know, I could just sense all of the amazing artists across the world that are fans of the show, their ears perking up like, I have to draw this because it's just such a great image. Gaija shippers, I see you. I stand with you.
She'd really be making cameos every episode. Like,
she
not
does.
Even like let her earn her spot in the title cards, please. Like, she's there, but like, she's just there for a scene every episode.
I would love a guide-driven episode. I think that would be really fun. I mean, you've got a great comedic talent in Kristen Schaal.
Flowers.
Yeah, so I agree with you on that. But moving on to one of the central conflicts in the show, Colin. Colin.
Great episode.
Great, because I feel like there's times with Colin's character when I wonder to myself, like, what else can you do? Like, what more is there to do with somebody who the entire, like, basically their entire character is a joke, and that's that he is an energy vampire. Like, how do you move on from that? What do you do with that? And for them to say in the past couple of seasons, like, oh, like, what if he just became an extreme energy vampire? Or what if there was an energy vampire council? But then to ask the question, what if he just, like, was no longer... What if he was interesting? What if he was interesting? That's brilliant.
I laughed so hard with just the concept of Colin becoming interesting because he has a black eye. Because immediately when he showed up, everyone was interested. I'm like, okay, I want to know why he has a black eye.
Right, yeah.
The way he's just like, ugh, it's not working.
Yeah.
What did he say? I'm too goddamn interesting.
I'm too G-damn interesting.
Oh yeah, I'm too G-damn interesting.
But then followed by, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck?
That's so funny.
Oh, it's so good.
I love Laszlo's response to that, which is, well, fuck my old boots, son of a bitch. I have to, like, write down everything he's ever said so I can use it in my everyday life, because he's so funny.
So we try not to text each other when the episodes are happening like we normally do when we're watching something at the same time, because we want to save it for a podcast. Yeah. But that was the line I had to just immediately scream it to you. I'm like, I just texted you, well, fuck my old boots. So, like, this is great.
I was like gripping my phone, sweating, trying not to say it back to you, because I gotta save it. But that's
immediately
so good.
Into my vernacular. It was so good.
But listen, John Slattery,
God.
huh?
What a great time.
What the fuck? I wasn't sure what I was getting when he showed up, because you kind of see a blur of him and you're like, is that Ted Danson?
I know, I thought it was Ted Danson too. I was like, no fucking way he got on this show.
Yeah, and then he comes into the shot and you're
like Anderson Cooper.
Ew.
What other older white man with really white hair and glasses are there?
Where are my silver foxes? No, but I wonder if the casting directors were like, how do we feed the gay people in our audience when they casted him? Because listen, I totally do. He's baby girlified in my book, so as a past enjoyer of Mad Men. I love the bit where they're in the car together and John Slattery is just talking and talking and talking.
Slattery, energy vampire
and, like,
confirmed.
Yeah, right. And he asks them if they've ever seen the movie Spotlight, which is this excellent Michael Keaton film, but I just couldn't believe he brought it up, because it's one of those films it's a great film, but you just never hear about it. So when he said it, I was like, oh, I'm sorry. And which makes sense because he's in it, but I don't know why, but that just, like, clicked for me, and I thought it was such a funny thing to bring up, because it reinforced this idea that he just has all these niche things that he wants to talk about with them, but he is also kind of an energy drain.
He is. And I love that, like, the entire time, like, most of the conversation was just him trying to figure out, like, the Great Lakes accent of Colin Robinson. Like,
I also love that his character in this scene, and this is going to be niche, so I don't know if everyone's going to know this, but it's very similar to, like, a Chris Fleming character.
Oh, yeah.
The bits where he just keeps talking and talking over everybody, and everyone's reacting to what he's saying, but he just continues to keep talking and saying random niche things. If you've never experienced Chris Fleming, he has a comedy special that just is either airing now or is about to come out on Peacock, and then he has some great YouTube videos and stand-up that you should watch, because he's just, I mean,
incredible.
He is just
incredible comedy.
Yeah, they are like,
I'm sure most of people have seen the video Company is Coming.
Yeah, Company is Coming was viral.
That's the viral one, and it came from his show Gale on YouTube, which is really just formed who I am today. So
no, it's so, I mean, his comedy was so formative to both of us, Caitlin, because I don't remember exactly how I first came. It wasn't Company is Coming.
No,
it was,
I think I watched the show before that.
For me, it was this great bit from his web series Gal, where he talks about the checkout cashiers. He talks about the cashiers at Trader Joe's. And how they always are just, like, so involved in your shit. Like, they're asking you, like, about your frozen
making tacos tonight.
Someone's making tacos. You ever taken a Spanish class? It's always something. And I remember seeing it. I think it just came up in my Instagram one day. And I was like, holy shit, who is this? And found the Gal series. And just... It changed my life forever. It changed all of our lives forever.
Real. If you like What We Do in the Shadows, you'll like Chris Fleming. I promise. So, going back to them in the car with John Slattery, I loved so much how John just kept on talking and talking. And then Colin looks at Nandor and he goes, okay, fuck this. And then it pans out and you just see Nandor and Colin just jump out of the car as it's still moving.
The tuck and roll.
That made me laugh so hard. Just something about them just going, nope, onto the road was so good.
That's one of my favorite bits, the tuck and roll, when both characters look at each other and they're like, no, we're not doing this anymore. And they get it. Definitely one of my favorite bits of all time.
Yeah, never gets old for me.
So in addition to this dynamic we have between Nandor and Colin, we're also seeing this great, super rare plot point between Nadja and Guillermo.
Yeah, which I feel like you and I both really, really wanted to see more of.
Yeah, there were a lot of things that we asked for, definitely centered around Nadja's character this season. Like, we wanted to see more of her prowess as a vampire and, like, more of her, like, being able to act in larger scenes where, you know, she gets to do more complex work than just kind of, like, hanging out around the club that they owned last season. So I feel like we got all of that in this episode.
Yeah, I was like, wow, what a great Nadja episode you can have when you let Nadja do things outside of the house. Like, it's really, really nice.
Let the women in your comedic shows do things.
Let them do things.
Let them do things. I like that the vet's feedback is to put everyone down.
I do too. I thought that was great. Like, oh,
it could happen again.
40,
you just don't know.
He's got a couple good years left in him, but you might as well put him down. And the
it's more about
like,
quality
okay.
of life.
Yeah. I like that the other vets had like cages around their heads for no reason other than like why not?
Yeah.
I just like that detail.
This particular scene, there's a lot of great attention to detail with costuming, right? You've got all of these great prosthetics on characters, and we've been talking lore a lot. I'll say it again. It sounds like I said. Hold on, it says like I said. We've been talking about Lorelai. I'll say it again. But I think when the writers open the doors for us a little bit, and we get to kind of peek inside and see some of the lore, some of the other lore, and the What We Do in the Shadows universe, like some of the other creepy characters and ghouls and goblins and creatures. It's all about the creatures, baby.
That's why we love the Night Market episode so much. Yeah.
And I feel like when we saw the frogs earlier, I was wondering. I was like, are we gonna get some good creatures? Are we gonna get some good creatures this episode?
And we did.
Are we gonna get lucky? Yeah, we did. We got various creatures. It's all about the creatures.
It's all about the creatures. I loved seeing Guillermo high on whatever drugs they had, because I love that he called everyone a bitch, but affectionately, and everyone was a different sort of bitch. I love that Colin Robinson was a little boring bitch, an LBB.
An LBB.
And he's like, I love you, Nadja. And you know who else I really love? I really love Laszlo, although he's a bit of a horny bitch. You know? and then here we go, girlies, because he said,
strap in,
NANDERMO shippers, because we got a line. We got one hell of a line this episode. And he goes, but you know who I love the most is Nandor. He's like queen bitch. I think he calls him a queen bitch. I kind of missed it because I was just like, ah!
Oh my god, I couldn't hear it very well either. I hope it was queen bitch. Oh, I hope it was.
Yeah.
I hope it was. Alexa, play Queen Bitch by David Bowie.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that one's gonna go a long way.
Well, the intention behind saying it last, like, save the best for last, because when he started talking, I think everyone at home, everyone in their little homes right now, in their little crevices, watching this, gripped their toes to their carpets and like leaned forward.
I know I did, because like I was like, he's high on drugs right now, and he's saying how much he loves people. I'm like, I swear to God, if they just like bypass him saying anything about Nandor, I'm like, they know what they're doing. They know this is great bait. So when he wasn't saying it, I was like, come on, just give me a little something. Just a little something. Best for last, baby. Best for last. You know who he loves the most?
Best for last.
You know who he loves the most?
My real-time thoughts were like, if he doesn't mention Nandor, I feel like that's going to be a bigger tell of just where things are going, to just not even bring it up, to just be like, oh yeah, Guillermo and Colin, and then maybe he gets interrupted before he can even say it. But
that's what I thought too.
But then when he did say it, and it was the very last one that he got to say before they got interrupted, I was like, compels me.
Compels me though.
Compels me though.
Well, even when Nadja comes in, he's like, oh, hey, Nandor, you finally showed up.
Did really?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Unless I'm just that delusional. That's what I heard. But I swear to God, that's what he said. He calls her Nandor.
Oh.
And then he continues on his little drug-filled talkings.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow. You just blew my mind.
It's the mid-season, baby. Here's another thing that I loved about this episode. There was like genuinely like a couple moments where I was like, oh my God. Like, just the fact that
there was some shock value.
Like, now Nadja knows. Because I was really, it's like, I was really excited last episode because I was like, oh my God, the news is finding out that there's vampires. But then I remembered it's the local news, and apparently no one else besides you and I watch the local news.
True.
And, but then this episode, I'm like, oh my God, what if she actually finds out because of all this blood work? And she's like, oh, because of his Van Helsing blood, I have to go and save him. They're going to find something weird. And I was like, oh, please, I just want her to know, because that'll add so much. That'll be so much more interesting if they like open that up to like now another person knows that he's a vampire. And they did it. And they did it. And they fought together, both using their vampire powers. It was very great. It was cool.
Let's talk about that. Let's break that scene down, because there's so much to pull apart there. That is, I mean, I'm like a little bit of a fanatic about now, because as I'm thinking about it, because starting with Nadja's reactions to not just Guillermo's vampirism, but also the possibility that Guillermo is in danger, are so telling about how she actually feels about him, and that she actually does care about him. And this is great for me, because toward the end of the episode, she kind of says to the vet, oh, like, I'm taking him so that his master can kill him. But, like, she doesn't know anything contextually about why Guillermo changed when she ultimately decides to save him. So it's not like that was ever her intention from the beginning. She just genuinely like knew he was in harm's way and went after him because she does care about him.
Yeah, it's such like a reluctant best friends type of dynamic where she cares about him deeply, but she can't voice those feelings for him.
No, but she knew she was going to lose him, and first of all, the whole bit where she screams at the vet and the glass breaks and he gets thrown through the air. I It was like I was watching Monday Night Wrestling. I was like, yeah! That's my girl!
Get his ass!
Get his ass! Yeah. Oh, what did you think about that? What did you think about that whole scene from where she screams at the vet to where she's breaking down all the doors and you've got all these great creatures and then she ultimately finds him? What did you think?
Well, I loved it because, again, you have Nadja finally doing something, and it's like you're letting her be herself. You're letting her be a vampire. Like, we're seeing more of her vampire skills. Not that we've never seen them before, but just, like, putting them to use. I just loved it because she has to go and save Guillermo. Whether, like, I mean, it's a little bit reluctant, but, like, not really. We know deep down because she's like, you guys don't get to kill him. Nandor gets to kill him, basically. But, like, she wants to save him. Like, she can, like, her face, like, when the doctor first tells her, like, we gotta put him down. She's like, no. I think we're gonna keep him. Thanks. We're just gonna take him home. Yeah. But I really liked it. I loved, like, every little room that she went into. There was, like, a different, like, setup with some sort of patient. And creatures and things. And just, like, her screaming for Guillermo and ultimately, like, their fight together. I felt like it was, like, almost like a tease into what we could get when he becomes a full vampire and they all actually start working together because she was holding her own quite well, but then, like, when she did need help, like, he was able to, like, step in and help her win the fight. It was chef's kiss.
Well, let's talk about that too, though, because in our last episode review for episode 5, we talk a little bit about how it seems like Guillermo is really only able to express himself as a vampire in intense and emotional situations. Yeah. Which is why when his friend is in trouble, he's able to break out of his restraints and help her, both proving our hypothesis, but also just putting into play this great and underutilized dynamic between them where Nadja is caring about and saving him and he's doing the same for her. And it's completely transactional in this way that I think helps him out at the end of the episode when Nandor shows up.
Yeah, and, like, because Nadja is always protecting a friend in a way. But she just has to choose, unfortunately, like, which friend is she protecting. Like, she gets really upset. Well, first of all, she gets really upset that her husband hasn't told her this information. Yeah. And, like, rightfully so. And then also then she gets really pissed because she's like, now I have to hide the secret from my housemate? No. Like, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. And she's, like, pissed on her friend's behalf, but then also, like, understands that, like, she does kind of have to keep Guillermo's secret because for, like, his safety, because Laszlo thinks that there's a solution to it. What do you actually think of that, about Laszlo's theory that if he stops Guillermo's vampire transformation, that Nandor can actually, like, turn him?
I think it's an interesting that's a good question, because I could see this being the climax of the entire season. Like, the will he, won't he, once he finds out that everyone in the house except for maybe Colin Robinson is keeping this secret from him. Because, like, at the beginning of the season, when it was just Guillermo, I think you and I were both, like, really intrigued by Nandor's potential response to that. Like, will he feel betrayed by Guillermo? How will this change their dynamic? But now that Laszlo and Nadja both know, I feel like it changes everything. Like, it has 100%. The potential to completely flip the dynamic. And I just don't know if Nandor, given that he's the odd man out and doesn't know what's going on, is going to be receptive to Laszlo's plan, because we just don't know how he's going to respond to this truth about Guillermo. It's so, I mean, it's like every single episode, the more I'm like, oh, this is going to be a tragedy. Oh, this is tragic. Oh, this is actually so fucking sad.
Every show we watch somehow ends up being a tragedy, despite half of them being comedies. It's time to stop.
Tragedies. Yeah. Not to bring it up again, but there are times when I've watched Succession in the past with the underlying assumption that I am going to laugh for most of it, and then I end every episode on my knees at a beachside, sobbing.
2 of our funny haha shows recently, that being, if you know already from this podcast, you already know what I'm going to say, but if you don't know, it's Our Flag Means Death and Good Omens, have just absolutely just knocked me over the head with a shovel, is what they have done. This was supposed to be a fun time, not a bad time, and I can't do it anymore. And if this show does it again, first of all, I'm here for it because I love angst, but also, oh my God, let people be happy for once. But with Laszlo saying that he can stop Guillermo's transformation, I feel like half of the things that he's been doing has just been like seeing what he can do and furthering along his transformation.
Yeah, it does seem like he's actually perpetuating what's going on with Guillermo. So
unless he's got another thing up his sleeve.
I would love a season where Guillermo is a vampire. And this show's got one more season that's renewed for?
Definitely renewed for another season, but I don't know about a 7th season.
So I'd be curious to see if 6 is the final season, and if it is, if it's like a season that's fully dedicated to Guillermo's growth as a vampire, or if we're going to go back to the status quo again. And I'm kind of inclined to say that I don't think we can keep doing that. Like, it's been 5 seasons, and you and I have already both had, I think, some valid concerns about the monotony of some of Guillermo's plot lines. First, I just want to say I think the writers are doing a great job this season, because there's nothing monotonous about Guillermo's transition into a vampire. It's very interesting. It's very different and new. I think it's working. I think we just need to kind of go full speed ahead in that direction, you know?
Yeah, which is why I love this episode so much, because there was so much where the rest of the season is going to be impacted. Like you said, now that Nadja knows, it's a whole different dynamic, because now 2 of the vampires know. Now half of the house knows, you know?
And at the same time, it really did feel like a classic episode of this show.
Yeah.
Or like it felt very classically aligned with the original film, where, you know, first the structure of the episode worked, but then like all the hijinks, it was all just very on brand. It felt like where the last season or so has been a big departure from what like this show's dynamics typically are. This kind of brought us back to that, but not in a way that was duplicative. Like, not in a way where it was like we were seeing the same plot lines over and over again. It was just the structure was working, and you could like tell that the beating heart of the show was coming through.
Yeah.
Are there any other reasons that you felt that this episode really stood out to you?
I think for me, it really is like all of the different pairings that we had this episode, because you do get like those different dynamics, but also ultimately is that they're all helping each other in some way in this episode. Like, they all are caring about each other. Like, Nandor is with Colin because he's trying to help him like come to his full energy vampire and powers and finally feed again so he doesn't die. And Nadja is helping Guillermo because his entire foot was comically flipped completely around and he needed it to go get fixed, and then ends up becoming in danger where he's supposed to get help, and she needs to save him because he's her friend and it's just the right thing to do. And then Laszlo is, you know, helping Colin and Guillermo in a way of like helping Guillermo like figure out what's going on in his body, and also with Colin just trying to make sure he doesn't die. And it's just they all love each other so much.
I think my favorite type of story is one where it's framed as a comedy, but then when you actually watch it, you realize it's a love story. But it's very discreetly a love story. Like, there isn't a romantic overtone or like anything really inherently sexual about it, at least in this show. Not in the way that, you know,
that you think it would be.
A romantic show would be. Yeah. But I love that. And you really get that with this show. I think my favorite combination of characters is one where it seems like they're all kind of assholes on the surface, and it seems like they're all kind of brought together by circumstance. They would never meet each other in any other universe, but then things start to happen that suggest that maybe they would. Like, maybe there is something fatalistic about this dynamic between these 2 assholes, or this husband and wife duo, that doesn't really seem like it would be. Like, they're all riffing at each other all the time. They're all insulting each other constantly and hurting each other. But then every couple of episodes, there's this really raw moment between the characters that suggests that there is a lot of love there.
Yes.
And boy, oh boy, does that wiggle my wagon.
I love that you just put into words exactly why I love the found family trope, because that's what this is.
Oh, yeah.
That's what this is. It's the found family, baby.
Caitlin, I'm glad to have you as a member of my found family so that we can talk about these episodes every week together.
That was an adorable segue into the end. Thank you.
I love you. I will never put you down. Never.
Thanks.
Never.
Same to you, babe. Same to you.
Even when you contract worms.
Aw. I don't want to talk about that on the podcast, please. It was one time. Well, thank you for listening to our review of What We Do in the Shadows, Season 5, Episode 6. Come back next week when we talk about Episode 7. I don't know what's happening then, but we'll talk about it then. And if you haven't already, catch up on all of our What We Do in the Shadows reviews. We reviewed Season 4 and all of Season 5 so far on the podcast. We have many other reviews too. You can check them out on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah.
We're so good at this. We're killing it.
Let's go to bed.
Okay. Like, subscribe, follow. Bye.
Bye.